Okay, so this is part 2 of the notes. Yesterday, or the last lesson, was dealing with just graphing, and so now we're going to solve. And so when you solve it, what you do is you kind of just solve one at a time. So let's see if I can cover this other one up. I'm going to cover this up so you don't even look at it. Don't worry, I'll make it go away in a minute. And then, oh, all these colors. And then I solve this one. So to get rid of a -4, I add 4 to both sides. And I get x is less than -6. And so on my number line, I'm going to graph that. Okay, now let's get rid of this thing. There we go. And so now we do the next one by solving. And so to get rid of a times -2, I divide by -2. And if you notice, I just divided by a negative. So I need to flip the inequality. And -10 divided by -2 is a +5. Okay, so I have an OR problem, so they should be going to the left and to the right. And let's see if that happens. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so at -6, it's an open circle going to the left because it's less than. And then at +5, it's a closed circle going to the right because it's greater than. And that worked. Okay, so this one's a little different. You can separate them, but I really think it's helpful just to draw 2 lines down from the inequalities, because really what you have is you have 2 separate problems, so that's why I have 2 inequalities. So now I have to get this x by itself. So to get rid of a -3, I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And what happens is, because it's not just both sides and it's 2 equations, I have to add it to all 3 places. So now I get -1, x, and 8. This is an and problem, so it should look like a dumbbell. There's 1. So at -1, it's an open circle, and x is bigger than it, so it goes to the right. And then at 8, it's a open circle. I'm sorry, -1 is a closed circle. And then at 8, it goes to the left, and that's it. Okay, so now I'd like you to try these next 2, 5 and 7. And then when you think you're ready, go ahead and press play. Okay, so you should have added 2 to both sides. And so you get x is greater than 6. And then divide by 3 on both sides, so x is less than or equal to -3. So this is an OR. So 6 and -3. At +6, it's an open circle going to the right. And then at -3, it's a closed circle going to the left. So we did it right. Sorry, my thing's crooked. Okay. Okay, so for the second one, again, it's 2 ORs, so I just bring down my line. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides, and I get 2x is greater than or equal to 10. Then I divide by 2, and x is greater than or equal to 5. Over here, this one's kind of close together. I'll switch colors. I have to get rid of a +5 by minusing 5. And so I get x over 2 is less than or equal to -4. And then I'm going to times by 2. And now I get a negative answer, but because I times by a positive, it still is going to face to the left. And so for my graph, I have 5, closed circle, going to the right. And on the other one, the OR part, it's -8. This should also be closed, going to the left. So the big thing is, remember, you just do one problem at a time. You cover it up. You don't try and combine them when it's ORs. ORs, you do this problem, and then you go do the other OR problem. All right, so why don't you try 6 and 8. 6 and 8 are similar to this one right here, where you draw 2 sets of lines down. And so I'm going to draw a set here and here. and then here and here. Once you try those two, and then when you're ready, press play. Okay, so for this first one, it's only one step. You just have to minus 5 on all sides. And so you get negative 7x, negative 1. And so at negative 7, it's open. And at negative 1, it's open. And they come together because it's a dumbbell and it's an and problem. Also, because this says x is greater than negative 7, it went to the right. And x is less than negative 1, so it went to the left. Okay, here you have to get rid of the 3 and the 3. So you get rid of the one that's not touching it. So I get rid of the positive 3 by minusing 3 everywhere. So I get negative 15, 3x, and 3. And now this is 3 times x, so I'm going to divide everything by 3. And so I get negative 5x and 1. And so now this is an and problem, so they should come together. At negative 5, it's a closed circle, and it says x is bigger than that, so it goes to the right. And at 1, it's a closed circle, and x is smaller than that, so it goes to the left. So it does make our dumbbell. Okay, so when solving these, if they're OR problems, remember to do the problems separately. If they're AND problems where there's two inequalities like this, you could draw the lines down and remember to do something to each position. So you have to do it to the left, the right, and the center.